You're watching Byline Wilmington on CBS 10 WILM. Here's your host, Don Ansell.
We're back. Curtis Wright, Gary Shipman, sort of two perspectives from either side of the political spectrum. Gary, did the president overpromise his solutions to the economy?
I think he was overly confident in being able to implement the solutions. Look, the economy was in the ditch when this president was elected, and everyone looked to him to provide solutions. But the solutions had to come through Congress also. I think he was a bit too optimistic as to the solutions that he could have expected from Capitol Hill. Those solutions were slow in coming. He took on, during the election cycle, the idea of health care, the need for a stimulus. That was something that he had to get past early. Certainly the stimulus was something that all economists agreed were needed. So I think he was just overly confident. Yes, some people say he overpromised.
Curtis, the Republicans are critical of the president's agenda since he took office. But isn't it everything he campaigned on? Health care, reform, stronger regulations, tighter controls on Wall Street, getting rid of the donor.
I don't think this president, I think if there's one characterization that's been made, this president has misled or somehow lied to the people. Now, we could talk about policy later, but in fact, candidate Barack Obama is what he is. In my mind, we are seeing there's a third entity here, and it is Barack Obama and those who surround him and support him. And didn't say Democrat or Republican here. I said
but is there anything different than what he campaigned on?
Much different.
Yeah?
The man that is in the White House is a man that is supported by people that have been working for 100 years to fundamentally change our form of government. That's not Democrats. That's not Republicans.
Can you cite something specific that he did that he didn't campaign on?
No, you're talking about what he campaigned on. I'm talking about what you're seeing mixed into this. This mix is not the normal, policy discussion or debate of liberal, conservative. There's something else, and it is something else. It is to fundamentally change our form of government and our society, and we are to move us to a statist society, and there's a lot of things that have to happen to finish that out.
Is that socialism board that you're talking about? Is that
it's beyond socialism in my mind?
It is. Well, what's your take on that? Is the president fundamentally trying to change our system of government?
I think he's trying to change the way people feel about government, but that injects the element of realism into this debate. How realistic is it that we can change a form of government that has existed in this country since the passage of the Declaration of Independence? We've got to change the way we feel about government. Can we change government? I don't know how realistic it is.
Well, let's look back, 1903, 1910, to where we are today. There's a fundamentally different government today in the United States. I think there's one more step that people want to go to for the next 100 years.
You'd like to see it without Social Security, without Medicare, take it back to
I think when we
started
started on that route, we started down the road that other societies have gone. History books are replete with those societies, and those societies have fallen by the wayside because you cannot make 2 + 2 = 10. It's unimaginable that anybody would even think that 47% of the people can get up every day, never pay taxes, and the other ones are going to do it forever. And all that works, and government can expand with no relationship to the economic conditions, and benefits can be added with no relationship to the economic conditions. And by the way, in the midst of all this, these last, 8, 9 years, is this exploding global economy. We're no longer the big guy on the hill. There's a lot of people that are our competitors now that weren't 50, 60 years ago.
Your take on that?
Well, our society is certainly more progressive than others around the world. We're not experiencing anything, again, any differently than others are experiencing. I don't know what society.
But how can we do that when we're $13 trillion in debt and we have $202 trillion in unfunded promises for the next generation? How can you? All we are able to do is hide it, put it to the side behind the curtain, but it's there. And we cannot pay our federal employees. That's why we're going after the DOT. We cannot pay our state pension plans and health plans. We've been borrowing and living off of borrowed time.
Great. We know what the problems are. What's the solution? I mean, I hear everyone talk about what the problems are. I don't hear many people talking about what the solutions are.
Well, that's the problem. What you're seeing in Greece is where we're pushing ourselves to, where someone finally says, hey man, 2 + 2 doesn't equal 10, now I've got to take this thing down. And when you take that thing down and a majority of people are living off that government system, then a lot of people get hurt.
What you're talking about is probably what's fueled the rise of the Tea Party. And Curtis, you're a local leader of that movement. How powerful will those voters be in this election cycle? What do you think?
Well, the independents now have a name. They're called the Tea Party. For years, I have always said it's the independents that elect people, not the two-party system.
So do you don't think that's a friendly part of the or akin to the Republican Party? A lot of people are.
But let's expand that idea, Gary. I think that in both parties, we have a group of independent thinkers.
Yes.
And actors.
Yes.
Okay? So they're there. Then there's the middle. So you add that together. And I believe today, you know, let's not forget our history here. There was only a third of the people that formed this country, a third of the population that actively worked to form this country. The other third was on the fence, and the other third was on the other side. So it can be done. Okay? Are we seeing that? I believe we are. I think we're seeing more of the seeds of. And that's where we are today. And we're at this historic debate. Are we going to go this way? Are we going to go this way? I believe that.
And in the beginning, when the Tea Party movement first started, and Sarah Palin, you say independent, but Sarah Palin is one of the national leaders. Glenn Beck, one of the national leaders.
But remember, she's an independent inside the Republican Party.
Right.
Okay? Just like I am.
But do you think
I'm a critic of the Republican Party.
Is the Tea Party independent? Do they lead Republican? In the beginning, a majority of politicians on both sides of the aisle, the pundits anyway, minimized the depth and influence of the Tea Party movement. What's your take on it now?
Well, I think anyone would be incredibly naive to say that the Tea Party movement has had no influence on both sides of the aisle. It's had a tremendous influence. And I think that's a positive, that this third-party movement has been influential with both Democrats and Republicans. The debate has been shaped, certainly in this election cycle. I think the debate has largely been shaped by the Tea Party movement, and I think both Democrats and Republicans have been forced to be responsive to it, and by and large they have been.
Well, you know, for instance, I'm out about now, 18, 19 counties. You know, I walk into a place like Stedman, and the event is sponsored by Democrats. And they come up to me to say, I want you to understand this is being sponsored by Democrats. We're glad thank you for coming and speaking today and coming. Guess what? I'm not happy. You go to the next one, and it's sponsored by Republicans, and they're people that are in that Tea Party group you try to define, and they're saying, I'm not happy. You know, so, and I agree, you know, what you made a comment that it's good. I believe it's good, because the greatest thing that ever happens that saves America from going over into the abyss is when the people get involved. And if you have a faith in the American people, I didn't say Democrat, Republican, conservative, you know, liberal. I said if you have a faith in the American people, then I believe the more involved they are in the debate, and at the end of the day, I think we're better off. I believe that.
We're going to take another break. We'll come back. When we come back, I'll just say 2 words. Sarah Palin, stay with us.